Good morning to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about the tragic loss, and there are a few words you have to learn. Besides the editorial analysis, today you're going to work on important questions, practice questions based on exam topics. Let us have a look at the words from this editorial, the tragic incident. Uh, the first one, perished. Is a video on. Perish is an important word. You got once or twice. So, what exactly does it mean, the word perish? Perish is a verb, it's a regular verb. Perish, perished, perished. Die, especially in a violent or sudden way. Someone dies in a violent way uh, because of an accident or a crash, and all of a sudden, totally unexpected, then we use the word perish. And you have to recollect perishable goods in this context, the combination. Thank you very much. Woods, an important word. The general word wood, that has a different meaning, but here it is in the plural form that you have to take into consideration. What does it mean? An area of land smaller than a forest that is covered with growing trees. In our country, we use the word forest quite often, but if you take the Western countries, they use the word woods. And there are a few idiomatic expressions. Out of the woods means what? Out of danger. When that you have to recollect. Cockpit, I'm sure you all know the meaning of the word cockpit. A compartment for the pilot and sometimes also the crew. Usually it goes with the pilot, the small cabin where the pilot and the co-pilot where they sit, that is known as the cockpit, and usually the passengers are not allowed into the cockpit. And sometimes also the crew in an aircraft or spacecraft. Insight, I use this regularly. What is the meaning of the word insight? Deep understanding, accurate and deep understanding, but generally we say deep understanding. Imperative, we have got so many times. What does it mean? Of vital importance or crucial. Something is imperative, something is important or crucial. Speculate, usually this goes with the stock market. Speculate is a verb, speculating the ing form. To form opinions about something without having the necessary information or facts. Cockpit of Europe, Belgium or Switzerland. So, speculating to form opinions about something. Speculate also means something like guessing. You don't have the facts and you try to guess, speculate. And usually it goes with the stock market. Ferry, it goes with boats, small ship that transports people or goods in a vehicle, especially regularly and often. Quite often, it's a means of mode of transport, a boat, but in this context, it has been used to convey the idea transport of people or goods, vehicle, any vehicle for that matter, but usually it goes with boats regularly. Aggressive, we have got many a time. Belgium confirmed, thank you. Behaving in an angry and violent way towards another person. Aggressive, I also give the meaning ready to attack. Usually it goes with animals, dogs, aggressive dog. Sometimes we use it with people, aggressive person. And also when it comes to marketing, we use aggressive marketing. There it has a positive connotation. Belligerent, an important word. Wishing to fight or argue. Some people or some countries always ready to fight or some people ready to argue. Then we use the word belligerent. That's an important word. Proximate and very near or next, as in space, time, or order. Proximity, that is an important word. You have got many a time. There's one expression, error of proximity, if you guys remember. Generally, this goes in the negative sentence. He did not mince the words. He does not mince the words. What does it mean? To walk or speak in a restrained way. a restrained, controlled way. Generally, it goes with speak, not walk, but the actual meaning to walk or speak in a restrained way. When you say he has not minced words, that means he has been very frank and expressed his ideas clearly. Waded, we have got many a time. Bellicose, belligerent, all these words. To walk through water, snow, sand, or any other substance that impedes, blocks free motion, or offers resistance to movement. Usually it goes with water. You try to walk in water and you find it difficult, wade it through water. Sometimes it goes with any medium for that matter. You find it difficult to move. Then we use the word wade. In tandem, an important expression. Usually it goes with the workplace. Work in tandem means what? At the same time. Exactly. Error of proximity. Very good, Bhavana. At the same time, in tandem. Successor, I think we got predecessor, successor. Two important words, one before, the other after. These are the words from the editorial. Now let us go to the editorial. As I said, this editorial is all about the tragic loss, one thing. But the main idea of the editorial, General Rawat's plans and how to make these plans real. So it is all about that, how to realize General Rawat's plans. A tragic loss, an important expression, a tragic death, a tragic loss, a tragic event, a tragic incident. All these are typical combinations. So it starts with a tragic loss. From that, you can understand it is about a negative or unfortunate incident. What is the main idea of the editorial? India must realize General Rawat's plans. Here, there's one important word, realize. India must, you have got so many times the helping of must. Now you know the functions. I don't have to reiterate. India must realize, ask the question what? India subject must realize what? General Rawat's plans for genuine tri service operational capabilities. This is the main idea of the editorial. India, at this juncture, against the backdrop of losing a great personality, what are the priorities? India must realize General Rawat's plans for genuine tri service operational capabilities. Here, must realize means make them real. That's what it means. India has lost a capable and experienced military leader in the tragic death of the country's first Chief of Defense Staff (CDS), General Bipin Rawat, in a helicopter crash near Kunur in the Nilgiris on Wednesday. They shouldn't have used present perfect over here. Whenever we talk about a particular incident that happened in the past, imagine the time aspect has been mentioned, then we should use past tense. Here you see the time aspect that goes into the past. Nilgiris on Wednesday. Perhaps they wrote, no, I don't think it goes into past, so we cannot use present perfect. They should have written, I would like to reiterate this. If time goes into past, we should use past tense. And you don't mention the time, then you can use present perfect. But here, present perfect, time in past, that's a wrong combination. In so many exams, they've given questions based on this wrong combination. It's a common error. I'm really surprised. India has lost present perfect tense. India has lost. Again, you ask the question, what or whom? A capable and experienced military leader. How did we lose? In the tragic death of the country's first Chief of Defense Staff, General Bipin Rawat, in a helicopter crash near Kunur in the Nilgiris on Wednesday. A lengthy sentence, but it talks about the loss. We lost the country's first Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, General Bipin Rawat. And how did it happen? Helicopter crash near Kunur. Where did it happen? Try to ask the questions like when did it happen? Where did it happen? What happened? Usually, I tell students when you want the basic information regarding something, you have to take the fishbone approach. What is this fishbone approach? Especially, it goes with events or incidents. You use all the six basic question words: what, when, where, who, why, and how. So, what happened, where it happened, how it happened, who is responsible, when it happened, all these questions. So, this sentence talks about many of these answers to many of these questions. Almost all the words are easy, though it's a lengthy sentence. But what you have to focus on, present perfect and past time, a wrong combination. And there's one more thing very important from the exam point of view. The Nilgiris. Why the definite article the here? You have to recollect the rule that goes with articles. When we talk about mountain ranges, I repeat, mountain ranges, we have to use a definite article the Himalayas, the Nilgiris, the Andes, the Alps. But before individual mountains, we should not use any article. We cannot say the some mountain. We should not use any article. We have to say Mount Everest, not the Mount Everest. So this sentence, this editorial starts with the what exactly happened on Wednesday. Along with him, his wife Madhulika and 11 others also perished when the Indian Air Force's Mi 17V5 helicopter came down in a heavily wooded area. Now, there are two words you have to focus on. One is perished, die, especially in a violent or sudden way. And the second word, wooded area. Woods, the noun, an area of land smaller than a forest that is covered with growing trees. Now, based on this incident, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has announced in Parliament that a tri service inquiry headed by Air Marshal Manvendra Singh, Air Officer Commanding in Chief, Training Command of the Indian Air Force, will take place into the incident. Generally, this is a major incident. Any major incident, the government responds immediately, and an inquiry, immediate inquiry into the incident. So this sentence talks about the announcement from the Defense Minister Rajnath Singh. Yes, kick the bucket, perish, pass away, all related words. Bite the dust. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has announced, here again present perfect tense, but there is no time, has announced in Parliament that a tri service inquiry headed by Air Chief Marshal Manvender Singh, Air Officer Commanding in Chief, Training Command of the Indian Air Force, will take place into the incident. Inquiry will take place into the incident. Will take place, which tense is that? Present perfect tense, future tense. Here they have used present perfect, here future. Sometimes students ask me, sir, can we use different tenses in the same sentence? Absolutely no problem. It all depends on the idea. In a sentence, you may have two or three clauses. One clause you're talking about the past incident, use past tense. Another clause talks about the future, then you use future tense. Absolutely no problem. The Indian Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chowdhury, has already visited the crash site. Has already visited the crash site. The cockpit, voice, and flight data recorders have been recovered, which would give investigators insights into how the crash occurred. Whenever there is a major incident, especially crash related to aircraft or a chopper, immediately they try to get the black box and they try to get the evidence how it happened. In this context, the Indian Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chowdhury, has already visited the crash site. Immediate reaction based on the incident, and here has already visited. It is in present perfect. Whenever we use words like already, recently, lately, and yet, we use present perfect tense. That you have to recollect. The cockpit, already have given the meaning. Cockpit means what? The cabin where you have the pilot and the co-pilot, and sometimes the crew. The passengers are not allowed. A compartment for the pilot, and sometimes, rarely, also the crew in an aircraft or spacecraft. Again, when you come across aircraft, spacecraft, you have to recollect the rule. There are some nouns, singular or plural, they have the same form. What are the examples? Sheep, deer, salmon, cod, trout, offspring, aircraft, and spacecraft. That you have to recollect. Black box is a box where everything is recorded, and that provides the evidence about the crash, how it happened. Recorders, cockpit voice and flight data recorders have been recovered. They have been recovered. This isn't present perfect, but passive voice. They have recovered something. Something has been recovered that you have to recollect, which would give investigators, which would provide investigators insights into how the crash occurred. Insight, an important word I use quite often, an accurate and deep understanding. Generally, I say deep understanding about something. It is imperative that the inquiry be done both thoroughly and speedily. Now, there's an inquiry. The editorial says this particular inquiry, it is imperative. Generally, already have got the clause. It is important, it is easy, it is difficult, it is imperative. What is the meaning of the word imperative? Of vital importance or crucial. It is important or it is crucial that the inquiry be done both thoroughly and speedily. They have to do thoroughly and also speedily. They have to expedite. Without speculating on the cause, it needs to be stressed that speedy course corrections in training or hardware are imperative, given that these Me 17VF choppers are being used to ferry top military leaders across the length and breadth of the country. This is an important expression. I should have brought it in red. Across the length and breadth of the country. Do remember that expression. Excuse me. There's one important word over here, speculate, speculating. So what does it mean? To form opinions about something without having the necessary information or facts. Generally, black, what is this? Black box. Fine. Yes, that is true. Coming to this speculating, as I said, it goes with the stock market and the shares speculation. A lot of speculation takes place. In a way, you can say speculate means guess without speculating on the cause. That means they have to do the investigation should be done thoroughly. There should not be any scope for speculation. Without speculating on the cause, it needs to be stressed that speedy course corrections in training or hardware are imperative, given that these Me 17V5 choppers, chopper means helicopter, are being used to ferry top military leaders across the length and breadth of the country. So, what does this sentence talk about? It talks about speedy course corrections in training or hardware. When it comes to training, they have to make, if at all, any flaws, they have to correct, they have to work on the flaws and make the corrections. And also, hardware, perhaps it talks about depending on the latest and the most sophisticated hardware. What is the reason? These choppers are used to ferry top military leaders. Ferry, generally we use it goes with boats, small boats and small ships, which are used to transport people or things across a river, across a rivulet, or across a stream. We use the word ferry. In this context, the chopper has been used to ferry the top military leaders. Now it talks about the main idea of the editorial. What is it? He had a few plans and they should be realized or they must be realized. General Rawat had not even completed 2 years as a CDS when the Kunur tragedy happened. Not even 2 years. After completing his tenure, his term as Army Chief on December 31st, 2019, he slipped into his new role as CDS the very next day. There's one important expression over here, slip into, means take a different position, take a different role, and take a different responsibility. After completing his tenure means a time period during which a person holds the office, or you can also say the time a person is in power. After completing his tenure as Army Chief on December 31st, 2019, he slipped into his new role as the Chief of Defense Services the very next day. Many of his plans to give India genuine tri service operational capabilities, the main idea, are still to be realized. He had a lot of plans, a lot of ideas. They haven't been realized yet. So, still to be realized, it isn't passive voice. We have to realize they are to be realized. because there are ideas, plans to be realized. In such a situation, against that backdrop, the government should not lose time. Another important expression. That means they have to act immediately in appointing his successor to ensure that the plans on the drawing board do not suffer. At this juncture, the government should not lose time, means they should not take their own time. They have to respond quickly and appoint his successor to ensure that the plans, his plans, which are not realized on the drawing board, do not suffer. An aggressive China and a still belligerent Pakistan define India's security challenges. We have security challenges, and what are the reasons for these security challenges? This sentence talks about an aggressive China. Aggressive has a positive connotation, negative connotation. Aggressive marketing, positive, but generally it has a negative connotation. Behaving in an angry and violent way towards another person. Aggressive, ready to attack. And typical combinations aggressive dog, aggressive person, aggressive group, and still a belligerent Pakistan. Belligerent, an important word. Bellicose, synonym. Wishing to fight or argue, ready to fight, ready to argue. Then we use the word belligerent. General Rawat, now editorial talks about General Rawat. General Rawat, known to have been proximate to the ruling establishment, means the government, proximate, very near or next, as in space, time, or order, proximity, closeness, had never minced words. He had never minced words means he was not hesitant to express his views. Whatever he wanted to say, he said without any hesitation in a crystal clear manner, had never minced words, mince to walk or speak in a restrained way, had never minced words while speaking about the challenges facing the country and had waded into political controversies. Because of that, he landed up in political controversies. There's one important word, waded. Wade usually goes with water bodies. You enter a particular water body, you try to walk, you find it difficult. Water bodies, snow, sand, or any situation. It could be abstract, and you find it difficult to go because your movement is restricted. Though the concept of having a CDS was recommended by a group of ministers in 2000, after the Kargil war, it took another 20 years for one to be appointed. There was an idea, the CDS, and it was recommended by a group of ministers. Group of ministers, here the keyword group, that is a collective noun that you have to recollect, the rule that goes with collective nouns. Group of ministers in 2000 after the Kargil war. But how long did it take to appoint one? It took another 20 years for one to be appointed. To be appointed, that is again in passive voice. The CDS, who functions as principal military advisor, careful with the spelling, to the defense minister, is expected to work in tandem with the three service chiefs who continue to operate in their respective domains, spheres, a role and function that is still in the making. Another important expression, still in the making, that means it's not complete. They're still working on that. And there's an important expression, work in tandem. As I said, this goes with the workplace. Work in tandem means at the same time. Work in tandem, remember an important expression. How does the editorial end? To ensure that the new CDS and the service chiefs function as a team, the government would do well to keep in mind the principle of seniority while choosing General Rawat's successor. Now, to make sure things go very smoothly, the editorial says the government would do well to keep in mind the principle of seniority. So here they have to consider this particular principle while choosing General Rawat's successor. Now, what are the important idioms, phrasal verbs, and phrases based on this editorial? Tragic loss, tragic death, tragic incident. Try to make your own combinations. That helps in the long run. Must realize. That means you have to make ideas or plans real. Heavily wooded area. That means full of trees. Generally, the word woods, Western countries, and here we use the word forest. And there's one important idiomatic expression, out of the woods means what? Out of danger. The crash site, SITE, SIGHT, a different word, CITE, to quote, a different word, SITE, a different word. All these go with confusing words you have to recollect. SITE, CITE, SIGHT. Insights into. I use the word insight quite often, deep understanding, profound understanding, and it takes a preposition into. It is imperative, it is easy, it is difficult, it is vital, it is crucial. Make your own combinations. Ferry top military leaders. In this context, ferry means transport, short distance, not long distance. But the word ferry usually goes with boats and small ships. Slip into new role means take the new responsibility. Still to be realized, we are still to realize active voice. They are still to be realized the goals, passive voice. Should not lose time. Should, it is used to advise or suggest someone. Also possibility, less chances. But in this context, advise or suggest. We should not, the government should not lose time. Staring down each other. Stare means what? To look at someone or something for a long time. But in this context, staring down each other, you have to, each other is a pronoun, a reciprocal pronoun. Reciprocal pronouns are two in number. Each other, one another. What is the difference? When we talk about two persons or two things, we should use each other. More than two, one another. Here, China and India. So staring down each other, important expression. Never minced words. Don't mince words. Generally, this goes with a negative sentence that you have to remember. Means what? To speak frankly, openly. For one to be appointed, an important expression. For one to be appointed, it took almost 20 years. To be appointed, passive voice. That you have to recollect. Work in tandem, an important expression. Work at the same time, work in tandem. Once you get selected at the workplace, you come across this expression they use regularly. Still in the making, something is not complete, they are working on it. Then we use the expression, it is still in the making, an important expression. The principle, it has many meanings. And here you have to recollect principle of a college school and principle, man of principles, an important expression. Principle, the main idea of seniority. And when you come across the word senior, you have to recollect the rule. Compared to adjectives like senior, junior, superior, inferior, so many are there. They always take the preposition to, not the word than. Now, what are the questions you can think of based on this editorial? What is this editorial about? The tragic loss. In the context of the editorial, what must India realize? This is the main idea of the editorial. At this juncture, against the backdrop of the tragic loss, what must India realize? What would give investigators insights into how the crash occurred? Again, easy to answer based on the keywords. What are the factors that define India's security challenges? Certain factors define India's security challenges. What are they? Easy to locate and answer. Who is expected to work in tandem with three service chiefs? In tandem, key expression. The three service chiefs, again, you have to. In this context, when you see the word chief, you have to recollect commander in chief. We have compound nouns. When it comes to the plural form of the compound noun, you should remember the key word takes S or ES. Mother in law, a lot of people say mother in laws, not correct. Mothers in law. Commander in chief. In many exams, they've given commander in chiefs, not correct. Commanders in chief, that is correct. Now let us go to practice questions based on exam topics. First five questions based on error location. Please read the first one and try to spot the error. A study reveals that sometimes conventional lenders keep keeping extending credit but recoup their cost in other ways. So where is the error? No, if you learn the helping verbs, they are not confusing. Regular classes, I usually spend 2 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours. I teach the functions of all the 20 helping verbs or models. Once you listen, or attend that session, not at all confusing. A study third person singular, sentence is in present tense, verb reveal, we should add S. A study reveals what? That conventional lenders, sometimes conventional lenders, keeping extending, that is not correct. We cannot use ing form here. Keep extending credit, but recoup their cost in other ways. So keep doing, keep reading, keep running, keep walking, keep listening, keep learning. Very important for you guys. And here we have to use keep extending. Same pattern. Try to form your own patterns that helps in the long run. He had a fall for the pavement as he slipped on a banana skin lying around. Not difficult, easy to spot the error. He had a fall, an important expression. Past. No, there is no PDF, Yakub. Right now, I'm taking, there's a course, an Academy Plus platform, 200 grammar rules. There you get the PDF, but for that, one has to take the subscription, an Academy Plus subscription. They get the PDF, otherwise, not available. He had a fall. Is it for the payment or on the payment? On, exactly. For is not the correct preposition. We have to use on the pavement or footpath. You can also use on the footpath. He had a fall means what? He fell. Where did he fall? On the footpath. You cannot say for the footpath. For a person, that's a different meaning altogether. Fall for a person. But here it is a different context. Question is about preposition. Our company has decided to sell its software decision as it hasn't been made profits during the last 3 years. I think it is, they don't consider this software division, perhaps. That is not the error. Our company has decided to sell its software division as it has not been made profits during the last 3 years. Very good, Yakub. Here you don't have to use in passive voice. Here hasn't been made. Looks like passive, not required. Hasn't made. You don't have to use. It has not made profits. The company hasn't made profits. We should use present perfect tense in active voice, not in passive voice. Hasn't been made is not correct. Hasn't made profits. That is correct. The new smartphone is not only waterproof but also operates on a comparative low power. I don't know, these are actual questions, but I'm really surprised. A few errors here and there. Where is the error? Question number 4. The new smartphone is not only waterproof but also operates on a comparative low power. Comparative low power or comparatively low power? Nothing wrong with low power. Here we have to use, why not? We use profits and losses. You can use in the plural form. Kumar, absolutely no problem. Here it is not comparative, it should be comparatively. Comparatively low power. Question is about a word form. There is an error. Comparatively low power, comparatively low rates, comparatively high rates. Germany is a country where both education and healthcare are being providing free of cost to all the citizens. Easy to spot the error. Question number 5. Germany is a country where both education and healthcare, both we have to use and, nothing wrong, are being providing is not correct. Being provided. Germany is a country where both education and healthcare are being provided. They are providing something. Which tense is this? Present continuous active voice. Something is being provided. Being provided, is being provided, are being provided. That is present continuous passive voice. So here, are being provided, you have to recollect. At is not required. Being are being provided free of cost to all the citizens. Only one error. Providing is not correct. It should be provided. And you have to recollect, make a note. Question is about present continuous passive voice. Any sentence in passive voice, the main verb is always in the past participle form. Now we have double fillers. Have a look at the first one and try to choose the correct pair. Yes, any continuous tense in passive voice, you have to look for the word being. Based on that, you can make out. Any perfect tense in passive voice, you have to look for the word been. Despite being rich in minerals, the state remains one of the poorest in the country. Easy to make out. Dearth means shortage, abundant opposite, despondent like dictator, and scarce shortage again. But answer based on the context, the third option, despite being rich in minerals, the state remains one of the poorest in the country. The country's education system still very old fashioned and is in need of a revamp. This is also easy based on contextual awareness. Yes, the country's education system still remains very old fashioned and is in urgent need of a revamp. Standard expressions, languish an important word, to suffer a lot, to be in the same, uh, experience the same hardships, same negative situation, languish in poverty, one of the combinations. Fastidious means something like being, trying to be perfect, insisting on perfection. Firm, not correct, not correct. Imperative, already have got crucial or important. So answer is the fifth option. Contextual awareness you can easily make out. Injured with a hamstring injury, the player remained in the field for his country. In urgent need of, that's a standard expression. Easy. Question number 3 also easy, should not be a problem. Languish prevent the growth. No, languish generally it means to suffer a lot, and usually it goes with to be in the state of poverty or hardships, difficulties, languish in poverty. Though injured with a hamstring injury, the player remained in the field playing for his country. Even injured, not correct. Besides being injured, but besides means what? In addition to. In spite of, you don't see of. Despite injured, despite being injured would have been correct. Answer is the fifth option. So what is the meaning of, what is the answer for Question number 4. Languishing in jail. Yes, that is one more. Languish in poverty, languish in jail, confinement, languish in confinement, captivity, related words. Everything has become fast these days with the advent of technology, advent, arrival. So everything has become. You have the helping verb, then you have to look for become, became, become. Everything has gone is not correct. Becoming grammatically not correct. Became grammatically not correct. Grammatically not correct. Now you have para jumble. Read very carefully and try to get the correct order. 6 sentences should not be a problem, but let's see how you're going to handle this para jumble. It has been quite some time. I think almost, when did I last bring a para jumble? I don't remember. More than 3 days. Take elimination approach. This is this demonstrative pronoun here. Any sentence with a demonstrative pronoun or a demonstrative adjective, words like this, these, that, those cannot be the first sentence. It, a pronoun, cannot be the first sentence. Hold this one. The latter cannot be the first sentence. Now cannot be the first sentence. However, contrasting cannot be the first sentence. So, what is the first sentence here? C is the first sentence. Elimination approach, you can get the first sentence. Conversion of forests into agricultural land is weakening India's monsoon. Why is it weakening? This is because here conversion of forests, one clue, and also India's monsoon, another clue. This is because forests are a source of transpiration which adds to rainfall. What is the second one here? Conversion of forests into agricultural land is weakening India's monsoon. Why? Because forests are a source of transpiration which adds to rainfall. What is the next one? Looks like we have a problem. E, B, where is D? After that, it should be the writer wants to tell us about transpiration. Now, transpiration is a process by which trees channel moisture from the soil into the air. It contributes to around 25% of the total precipitation in the later stages of the monsoon. So these two, one pair. CA, one pair, EB, one pair. After that, however, deforestation replaces deep rooted plants with shallow rooted vegetation. The later is different, latter is different. The latter cannot do the same, thereby resulting in a weak monsoon. Based on that, FD, one pair. CAEB, DF, not FD, not DF. However, deforestation replaces deep rooted plants with shallow rooted vegetation. Here we have two expressions. Excuse me. Deforestation, deep rooted plants with shallow rooted. Deep rooted, shallow rooted. Former, latter. Thank you very much. Who is this Deepak? Thank you. That is the correct order. Now let us go to idioms. Today, the idioms are not that easy. You got to read. Oh, for the first time, I got it, I guess, correctly, para jumble. Good, Raghu. Be happy. When you practice a lot, you will be able to. Under canvas, thumbnail sketch, poetry in motion, an important idiom. Poetic justice, very important. These two are very important, you got to remember. That's very good, Prithviraja. Who is this Shristi? Good, glad to know that. Be happy. Now let us go to idioms. Under canvas means what? Be in a tent. Answer is the fifth one. Thumbnail sketch refers to a short description or small picture. Answer is the third one. Poetry in motion, an important idiom, something that is graceful and beautiful to observe. This is the most important you have to remember. Poetic justice, this is also very important. Situation in which virtue means something good, rewarded, and vice is punished. Vice means something bad. Answer is the first one. Blank canvas. What are you left with? Something with no content. The content. Answer is blank canvas. Easy to make out. That should not be a problem. That's very good. Let us go to editorial vocabulary. I want you guys to remember two idioms at any cost. One is poetry in motion, they have given many a time. Poetic justice, they have given many a time. And other idioms you can guess based on the words, not that difficult. Now let us go to editorial words. Perish means what? Perish. Looks like there's a problem. Oh, has given fifth sentence is fixed and bolded. Is there any problem with the streaming? Someone says buffering. There is no book as such. You can Google a list of important idioms. There are so many websites they have already done. I think there's a problem buffering, and I have a warning. Some problem when it comes to streaming. I would like to wind up the session here. No, no, there is a problem. I see that warning sign. Try to work on this. I'll provide the PDF. Thanks for being with me. Have a nice day. I will see you guys tomorrow. No, no, there is a problem. There is a problem. So I would like to wind up the session. Please work on editorial words. Try to, I will provide the PDF. Work on those. You guys say okay. Or let us go back. Perish means what? Die, especially in a violent or sudden way. Let us finish off E. And woods, an area of land smaller than a forest with growing trees. H. Insight, deep understanding. J. Imperative, of vital importance or crucial. A. Speculate, to form opinions without any evidence. Guess. Ferry, transport. Where is this? Transport people or things. Aggressive, behaving in an angry or annoying manner. Belligerent, wishing to fight or argue, usually fight. Wade, wade, it goes with water body usually. Find it difficult to walk through. F, something that restricts your movement. In tandem, an important expression. At the same time, D. I'm glad we could complete. So that's it for today. Thanks for being with me. Have a